Have you ever called your cat from across the room and watched them hesitate for a second before turning toward you, almost as if they were scanning the air instead of looking for your face? Many cat owners think their cats recognize them by sight, but the truth is that your cat depends far more on the sound of your voice than on your appearance. That tiny pause before they respond is not confusion. It is your cat decoding the subtle layers in your tone, the rhythm you use when you speak, and the emotional message behind every word you say. Cats do not hear you the way humans hear each other. They hear a version of you that is sharper, more detailed, and impossible for human ears to replicate. And what they pick up from your voice reveals more about your bond than you might imagine. What your cat recognizes in your voice can explain why they run to you on some days and ignore you on others, why they meow back only in specific moments, and why they often react to your footsteps, your breathing, or even the way you close a door. Understanding this changes how you see every interaction. So let's break down exactly what your cat hears, how they identify you, and the subtle signals they follow without you noticing. The first thing your cat recognizes in you is not your face and not your scent. It is the unique pattern in the way you speak. Every person has a signature rhythm when forming words, a natural cadence that rises and falls in specific intervals, and cats lock onto this pattern with remarkable precision. They memorize the spacing between your words, the softness or firmness of your tone, and the subtle variations you produce when you call their name. That is why you can whisper from another room and your cat still understands it's you. They are not identifying the word itself. They are identifying the pattern behind it. For example, think about moments when you speak casually and your cat barely reacts, but the second you shift into your calling voice, they lift their head as if a switch has been flipped. This happens because your calling voice has a predictable rhythm that their brain associates with safety, routine, and attention. Even if someone else tries to imitate your voice, the imitation fails because it cannot match your exact timing or emotional imprint. Cats rely on these patterns to feel anchored in the environment, especially in homes where multiple voices and sounds compete for their attention. A simple insight that helps strengthen your bond is to maintain consistency when communicating with your cat. If you always call them with a calm and steady tone, they respond faster and with more confidence. Abrupt changes in your cadence, such as speaking too loudly or too sharply, can make your cat hesitate or even withdraw. By keeping a stable pattern, you teach your cat to trust the sound of your voice as a reliable signal, which makes daily interactions smoother and creates a deeper connection grounded in recognition and comfort.
Cats do not just recognize your vocal pattern, they identify the emotional weight that comes with it. While humans often rely on facial expressions to understand feelings, cats decode the emotional tone in your voice long before they notice your body language. They pick up on tension, softness, frustration, excitement, and even the quiet relief in the way you breathe between words. To your cat, emotion is not an abstract concept. It is a real change in the environment, something they must respond to in order to feel safe. Consider those moments when you return home after a long day. You say a simple greeting, and your cat instantly approaches with their tail slightly raised, moving with a softer rhythm. They are not responding to the words, but to the warmth and familiarity in your tone. On the other hand, if you speak while stressed or rushed, your cat might stay at a distance, watching carefully before deciding whether to approach. This is not disobedience, it is emotional reading. Your voice tells them whether you are calm, irritated, or distracted, and they adjust their behavior to match what they interpret. A practical insight that helps strengthen your connection is to use a gentle tone when giving instructions or calling your cat, even when you're in a hurry. Cats are sensitive to sudden spikes in tension, and a sharper tone can make them less responsive, not because they don't understand, but because the emotional signal feels uncertain. By speaking with steady warmth, you reinforce a sense of safety, which encourages your cat to approach more confidently and interact with less hesitation. This simple shift in tone helps your cat read your intentions more accurately and builds an emotional bridge that deepens the bond between you.
Your cat does not rely only on your speaking voice. They track the quieter sounds you produce throughout the day, the ones you barely notice.
Cats have a hearing range that stretches far beyond human limits, and this allows them to recognize you through tiny cues like the rhythm of your footsteps, the way you breathe when you enter a room, or the soft noises you make while moving objects around the house. To a cat, these faint sounds create a personal signature that belongs only to you, and they use it to predict your movements and decide how to respond. Picture a moment when you simply shift your chair or open a cabinet door, and your cat appears instantly as if summoned by a silent signal. They are not guessing what you're doing, they are interpreting familiar microsounds that tell them you are active, available, or about to engage in a routine they understand. Even the way you handle your keys, place a cup on the table, or adjust your clothing generates patterns your cat recognizes. Over time, these sounds form a map of your behavior, allowing your cat to anticipate your next action with surprising accuracy. A practical insight that helps reinforce your bond is to maintain predictability in the sounds connected to your routines. If you always make similar noises when preparing meals, relaxing, or getting ready for bed, your cat learns to trust the sequence and feels more secure in the environment. Sudden, unpredictable sounds can make your cat tense or reactive, not because they're fearful by nature, but because they depend on auditory patterns to understand what is happening around them. By keeping your daily habits steady and calm, you help your cat navigate the world with confidence and strengthen the silent communication that shapes your relationship.
Your voice plays a much larger role in your cat's sense of safety than most owners realize. Cats constantly assess their environment for stability, and your voice acts as one of the primary signals that everything is under control. When you speak in a calm, steady tone, your cat interprets the environment as predictable and secure. When your tone shifts unexpectedly, even if the change seems small to you, your cat registers it as a potential disruption and adjusts their behavior accordingly. Think about the moments when your cat settles down in another room and you begin talking on the phone. If your tone becomes animated or tense, your cat may pause its grooming or lift its head with a cautious look. They are not reacting to the conversation itself, they are using your tone as a barometer for the emotional climate of the home. In contrast, when you speak with relaxed clarity, your cat often mirrors that calmness by stretching out, blinking slowly, or returning to rest. Your voice becomes a constant signal that everything is steady. A practical insight in creating a more reassuring environment is to incorporate gentle verbal communication into daily routines. When feeding your cat, calling them for playtime, or guiding them away from unsafe spaces, keep your voice even and composed. This establishes a rhythm they trust and encourages them to follow your guidance without anxiety or hesitation. Over time, your cat links your steady tone with structure and comfort, making your home feel more stable and strengthening the social connection that shapes your bond.
Cats hear a version of your voice that is more detailed than anything you perceive. Their ears are designed to detect higher frequencies, subtle vibrations, and faint tonal shifts that fall outside human hearing. This means your cat hears layers in your voice that you do not realize you produce. These layers help them identify you instantly, even when your words are unclear or muffled by background noise. Imagine a moment when you speak from behind a closed door. You might sound distant to another person, yet your cat reacts immediately, turning toward the sound or walking straight to the door. They are not identifying the message, they're recognizing the unique frequencies that belong only to you. Even slight variations in your breath, the tension in your throat, or the vibration in your chest create a frequency pattern your cat has learned to associate with familiarity and comfort. A practical insight for owners is to use softer, higher tones when calling or reassuring your cat. These frequencies are easier for them to process and often feel friendlier and less intimidating. Speaking in a low or overly firm tone can create confusion because those frequencies do not match the signals your cat interprets as safe or warm. By adapting your voice to a gentler pitch during key interactions, you make your communication clearer and help your cat respond with more confidence and trust. When you look at all these details together, it becomes clear that your cat is not simply reacting to words, but to the full soundscape you create every day. They recognize the rhythm of your voice, the emotion behind your tone, the subtle noises you produce without noticing, the stability you signal through consistent communication, and the unique frequencies that only they can hear. These small cues shape your cat's sense of comfort, trust, and connection. As an owner, you have probably wondered whether your cat truly understands you or if they just respond at random. The truth is that every little sound you make tells them something. Even if you sometimes feel unsure about what your cat needs or how much they understand, the fact that you are paying attention already shows your care. Your willingness to observe, adjust, and communicate in a way your cat understands creates a relationship built on awareness rather than assumptions, and your cat feels that effort more than you think. When you think about everything your cat hears in your voice, it becomes clear that communication with them is much richer than most owners ever imagine. Every tone you choose, every rhythm in your speech, and every small sound you make becomes part of how they navigate the world around you. And this raises a question many owners never stop to consider. If your cat recognizes you through sound more than sight, then what exactly are the sounds that truly matter to them? Most people assume that cats respond to any noise they make, but that is far from the truth. Cats only process a handful of sound categories in a meaningful way, and those categories shape how they react, how they bond, and how they decide when to come closer or stay away. In the next video, you will understand why your cat tunes out so many noises, why they respond instantly to a few specific sounds, and how these key sound types influence their daily behavior. It's a simple shift in perspective that changes the way you communicate and makes your interactions feel more natural and predictable. If you want to understand what truly matters to your cat's hearing and how those specific sound types guide their instincts and reactions, click the video that just appeared on your screen and discover. I'll see you in the next one.